After I gave the love letter from my crush to my nemesis, he started acting a little weird. He was always looking at me like he wanted to say something, and he'd blush for no reason. Later, to help my roommate ask someone out, I did a practice confession. But then he pinned me against the wall, trapping me completely. Didn't you say you wanted to have my kids? And now you're turning around and confessing to someone else? You're going to have them. If you can't, you're not leaving here today. How the hell am I, a guy, supposed to give birth? It was late, and just like any other night, the campus gate was crowded with a dozen couples who couldn't bear to part. But I didn't have time for that. I clutched a pink envelope and stormed ahead. The scene from just a moment ago replayed in my mind. My crush, Gina, who's also our class president, shyly handing me a love letter. Just when I thought I was finally about to get a girlfriend, her next words sent me crashing back to earth. George, I know you and Hugo are close. Could you give this to him for me? My heart shattered instantly. It was all in my head. This love letter wasn't for me at all. It was for my nemesis, Hugo. I wanted to refuse and clarify that Hugo and I were not close at all. But then I met Gina's expectant gaze, her eyes sparkling like tiny stars. The words died in my throat, and for some godforsaken reason, I took the letter. Damn it, I can't even. I must have been out of my mind, boosting my rival's ego at my own expense. What kind of self-sabotage is this? The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. Maybe it was the anger, but I practically flew up the stairs, reaching the 6th floor in no time. I went to the dorm room next to mine, Hugo's room. I knocked, and a moment later, someone came out. A handsome guy stood in front of me, raising an eyebrow slightly. His cool voice cut through the air. What's up? Need something? Hugo looked like he had just gotten out of the shower. He smelled faintly of fresh body wash. His hair was still damp and messily tousled. But with a face that good, it didn't look careless. It just added a kind of messy charm. I stared at his cool face and thought of the shy look on my crush's face, a sour feeling rising in my chest. But I had to admit, that jerk Hugo was just a little bit better looking than me. I clenched my fists. Remembering my task, my anger flared up again. Here, I shoved the pink envelope, sealed with a red heart sticker, into his chest. Hugo froze for a second. When he saw the envelope, his indifferent expression shattered, and his pupils contracted. A faint blush spread across his pale face, reaching the tips of his ears. His voice became hesitant. What is this? What is this? I was already bummed that my crush liked my nemesis, and now I had to be the delivery guy. I was totally losing my shit. Seeing him play dumb just made me angrier. It's a love letter. A damn love letter. For you. Got it? I couldn't help but yell, causing a few other students in the hallway to turn and stare. Realizing I just embarrassed myself again, my face burned. I shot Hugo a death glare and scrambled back into my dorm to escape the mortifying scene. As the door closed, I glanced at Hugo. He was still staring at the letter in his hands, his ears bright red. I couldn't help but rant in my head. Seriously? Is it that big a deal? It's not like you haven't gotten a million love letters before. Stop pretending to be so innocent, mister. Too cool for school. The fact that my nemesis had one-upped me again put me in such a foul mood that I didn't want to see Hugo's face for the next few days. But of course, you always run into the people you're trying to avoid. We're in the same major, and the campus isn't that big. The next day, I overslept for my 8A class. By the time I rushed into the lecture hall, almost all the seats in the back were gone. This was calc class, and every lecture was like a firing squad. The professor called on the front row students again and again. Every single one of them. Sit in the front? Not in a million years. As I scanned the back of the room for a seat, my phone vibrated. My roommate Joey, 6th row, saved you a spot. Hurry, my man. I gave him a mental thumbs up and headed straight for the 6th row. I saw the empty seat next to Joey, asked the student on the aisle to let me through, and squeezed in. Just as I sat down, the person to my right, who had been talking to the student next to him, suddenly turned his head. I glanced over instinctively and froze. Damn it, Hugo. Isn't he supposed to be a model student? The type who always sits in the front? What was he doing sitting in the back today? Noticing my stare, Hugo lifted his eyes and looked my way. He paused for about 3 or 4 seconds, then looked away, a little unnaturally. The awkward scene from last night flashed in my mind, and I felt my face get hot. Just as I was wondering if I should switch seats with Joey, the bell rang. A booming male voice came from the front of the room. Research shows that math is the subject our people are best at. So, I expect all of you to be alert and ready for class. Seriously? Math is our best subject? When did I miss that memo? The calc professor's command snapped me out of my thoughts. I had no choice but to sit straight and pay attention, putting the idea of switching seats on hold for now. Throughout the class, I could feel a gaze from my right, hot and restrained. Some classes are like those long-lasting batteries. One period feels longer than 6. I finally breathed a sigh of relief when the bell rang. I stood up and realized my neck was stiff. I heard a guy from the dorm next door talking to Hugo. He seemed to be saying something, and all I heard from Hugo was an occasional That's all he ever says. Can't you say something else? Such a pretentious jerk. Total poser. How could anyone like a guy like that? I sized Hugo up while ranting internally. As if sensing my gaze, he suddenly met my eyes. But he quickly looked down, avoiding my gaze, as if I were some kind of monster. I didn't think much of it, though. I packed my stuff, ready to get lunch with Joey and the guys. I hadn't been out of the classroom for long when my phone buzzed. I opened it. It was a message from Gina. George, when you gave the letter to Hugo yesterday, did you tell him it was from me? I typed as I walked. No, what's up? A few seconds later, she replied. Could you ask him for me later? Ask Hugo if he's read my letter? Can you? Please, George. I hesitated as I read the messages. I've never been good at saying no, especially not to a girl I used to have a thing for. After thinking it over, I agreed. I called out to Joey and my other roommate up ahead. Hey, I have to take care of something. I'll catch up with you guys at the cafeteria. Go on without me. They nodded in understanding and went on their way. I stood in the hallway, waiting until most people had left before Hugo finally came out. Our eyes met as he came around the corner. He stopped in his tracks, a look of shock in his eyes. I didn't pay it any mind and got straight to the point. Did you read the love letter I gave you last night? For some reason, the tips of Hugo's ears turned red. The 2 roommates with him looked at me, then at Hugo with strange expressions on their faces. The atmosphere froze for a couple of seconds. I heard his roommates laugh awkwardly. Well, Hugo, we'll wait for you outside. You two, talk it out. The way they looked at me as they left gave me the creeps. It was so weird. I frowned, seeing Hugo spacing out. I took a step closer. Hey, I'm talking to you. Did you read it or not? Hugo's eyes finally focused. His voice was still cool. I read it. Might as well see this through. In for a penny, in for a pound. I decided to ask everything at once. So, what do you think? Can you accept it? Are you guys gonna get together? I don't know if it was my imagination, but Hugo's ears seemed to get even redder, and a faint blush even crept onto his face. He avoided my gaze when he looked at me. I'll think about it. Seriously? What's there to think about? Gina is amazing. She's beautiful with fair skin and long legs. On top of that, she's incredibly kind. During freshman orientation, I passed out from heatstroke, and she was the one who got me to the nurse's office. What an amazing girl. That's why she became my crush. I can't deny it. I hold her in very high regard. So right now, I felt like Hugo was being an ungrateful idiot. The guy in front of me seemed to choke on his words, daring to look at me even less. It's a pretty big deal. I need to talk to my parents first. Once I sort things out with them, then we can be together, officially. He has to talk to his parents just to date a girl? Damn, he really is the model son, isn't he? So dramatic. I couldn't help but complain in my head, muttering out loud, Fine, just hurry up. Don't keep her waiting. An opportunity like this doesn't come around twice. With that, I turned to sprint to the cafeteria for some food. But suddenly, a force grabbed my wrist, stopping me in my tracks. It was so sudden that I lost my balance and stumbled back a few steps. A hand landed on my waist, its heat searing through the thin fabric of my shirt. My waist has always been sensitive, and I shivered. I turned my head, ready to tell Hugo off, but what I saw was his face, magnified 100 times. Suddenly, a warm feeling pressed against my lips. My eyes widened. I tried to pull away, but it only resulted in an embarrassingly loud smack. The air seemed to freeze, and a strange, charged atmosphere filled the space between us. Especially when I met Hugo's eyes. I was dazed. My heart skipped a beat, then another, and a wave of indescribable feelings washed over me. What the? My first kiss. Are you fucking kidding me? When I came to my senses, I immediately broke free from Hugo's hold and frantically wiped my mouth, but I couldn't get rid of the feeling. The soft touch lingered. Holy shit. Humiliation and anger clouded my mind. I couldn't stop myself from cursing. Damn it. That was my first kiss. How are you going to take responsibility for that? A blush had spread across Hugo's pale face. He covered his lips with his slender fingers, looking dazed. I'm sorry. Seeing him like this just made me even more furious, but I couldn't exactly punch him. The memory of that accidental, intimate touch kept replaying in my mind. A strange feeling crept over me. Whatever. Forget it. I'll just pretend I was bitten by a dog. I stormed off, fuming and trying to console myself, completely oblivious to the burning gaze following me from behind. It was like from that day on, I felt Hugo started acting really weird. He'd always look at me like he wanted to say something but couldn't, and then he'd blush for no reason. It was like I'd done something to him. The key thing is, I only bumped into him because of him that day. Seriously, is he trying to flip the script? I was speechless, but I just felt so annoyed. The touch from that day was like a stone thrown into a calm lake. It didn't have a huge impact, but it still sent ripples through me. To stop myself from thinking about that awkward scene again, I had to do my best to avoid seeing Hugo. But that's easier said than done. It's like the more you dread something, the more likely it is to happen. It was a club party. The moment I walked into the private room, I saw Hugo in the corner. He and I joined the same club as freshmen, but he never usually came to these kinds of events. So when the club president asked if I was coming, I said yes without a second thought. How was I supposed to know Hugo would be here too? What rotten luck. The scene from the other day flooded my mind, and I couldn't help but curse silently. I deliberately chose a seat as far away from him as possible. But I'd barely sat down when the guy next to me spoke up. George, aren't you and Hugo close? Why are you sitting so far apart? He said it so loudly that everyone's eyes landed on me, full of curiosity and questions. My face flushed, and I felt a mix of shame and annoyance. Who the hell is close with him? Sure. I've known him for over 10 years. And yeah, he's my neighbor, living right across the hall from my family's apartment. And okay, I used to go find him all the time. But what was it? Oh right, we're rivals. The only reason I ever went to see him was to provoke him. That idiot Hugo has had the same stupid poker face since we were kids, acting like a total poser. So what if I can't stand him? So what if I like to get under his skin? Not to mention my parents are always comparing me to him, and I always end up on the losing end. Close friends? In what universe? Who the hell started this rumor that we're close? Everyone seems to think so. I wanted to scream at the sky. To make things worse, that idiot Hugo actually came and sat next to me. My whole body went rigid. Over the loud, chaotic singing, his voice suddenly cut through, at a volume only we could hear. My parents agreed, and I've thought it over. He paused, then his voice became firm. That confession, I accept. About what happened that day. Please don't be angry anymore. Okay? What does you accepting Gina's confession have to do with what happened to me that day? And telling me not to be angry? Is he nuts? I was completely baffled. I was about to ask him what he was talking about when the president cut in. Club party means party games are a must. As soon as the president announced it, everyone in the room cheered. My train of thought was derailed. I could only shoot Hugo a bewildered glare, shelve the conversation, and join in the game of truth or dare everyone had agreed on. After we drew numbers, the president's voice rang out. Will numbers 6 and 9 please step forward to receive your punishment? My eyelid twitched. I had a bad feeling. Then I looked at the card in my hand. Damn it, number 6. I must have walked under a ladder today. How could I be so unlucky to get picked in the first round? I grumbled to myself while searching the crowd for the other poor soul who was as unlucky as me. The dare punishment involved the two people who drew the numbers doing it together. Of course, that meant there would inevitably be some more intimate, heart-pounding punishments. My heart felt vaguely uneasy, and my fear was confirmed by the president's next words. Ooh, the punishment is a paper kiss. The moment he said it, the room erupted in jeers, and I was the only one cursing under my breath. Damn it. I seriously can't believe this. Is my life just all about kissing these days? I could only pray that the other person wasn't a girl and not Hugo. The incident from the other day was still fresh in my mind, and I was dying of embarrassment. Unfortunately, it seemed like God only heard the first half of my prayer. When Hugo stood up, my mind went completely blank as the sound of the crowd's boisterous jeering filled my ears. Fine, just fine. When it rains, it pours, right? With everyone watching, I couldn't really refuse, or I'd definitely be teased for being a bad sport. Okay, I admit it. I'm a handsome guy who's too proud for his own good. As Hugo leaned in, we were surrounded by teasing looks. Are you free tonight? Want to get dinner together? His warm breath tickled my earlobe, sending a shiver through me. His words left me completely dazed and confused. Dude, seriously? Do you even know what our relationship is? We are rivals. Dinner together? What's that supposed to be? Like we're gonna hold hands and sing Kumbaya? I flatly refused. No. Unexpectedly, Hugo looked confused. Why not? Are you still mad? Seriously, why are you so concerned about whether I'm mad or not? Before I could snap at him, he suddenly tickled my palm. Then he placed a few soft candies in my hand, the brand I always snack on. Hugo's cool voice dropped, becoming almost gentle, like he was coaxing a child. Don't be mad anymore, okay? I'll definitely make it up to you later. In the dim light, Hugo's eyes were incredibly bright, sparkling as if they held tiny stars. The retort I had ready died in my throat. I stared at his handsome face, momentarily lost in thought. I had to admit Hugo was really good looking. As much as I liked to mess with him, I never had anything bad to say about his appearance. An exceptionally handsome face with features like a painting. If he were a girl, he'd probably be gorgeous. Fair skin, beautiful face, long legs, he was actually my type. Yeah, and other aspects were top-notch too. My thoughts drifted off into space until the president cleared his throat beside me, pulling me back to reality. Couldn't help but frown. Damn, am I crazy? How could I be thinking about that stuff? It must be because of that accidental kiss. I'm straight. Damn it. I quickly pulled my hand away from Hugo's touch, my earlobes burning uncontrollably. Are you trying to humor a kid? Who eats candy anymore? Take it back. After slapping the candy back into Hugo's hand, I quickly turned to the president. Why haven't we started yet? The president gave me a weird look. You two were having such a tender moment over there. Did you think I was going to interrupt and get struck by lightning? A tender moment? Which one of your eyes saw a tender moment? I grumbled internally, urging the president to hurry up. A thin piece of paper was placed between me and Hugo. Okay, when I say start, you guys lean in and kiss, all right? Yeah, we know. My heart started to pound for no reason. I could only cover it up with impatience. People were crowded around us, all eyes fixed on me and Hugo. Their stares made my face burn. 3, 2. As the president counted down, my heart beat faster and faster, so fast I thought it was going to leap out of my chest. 1. Start. The word start made my heart skip 2 beats. But I gritted my teeth, closed my eyes, and leaned forward. I told myself there was a piece of paper between us, so it wasn't a real kiss. Nothing to worry about. Who would have thought that I'd suddenly crash into something warm? That was definitely not the feel of paper. It was someone's lips. It felt like something in my brain came crashing down, and my head was buzzing. All around us, there was an uproar. Holy crap, they actually kissed. This is wild. Too wild. The jeers and shouts rose up around me. But in that moment, the world felt completely silent. The only thing I could hear was the deafening pound of my own heart. The soft touch overlapped with the memory from the other day, making it all feel like a surreal dream. My brain was completely frozen. I only snapped out of it when the other pair of lips pressed firmly against mine moved. I jerked back, but it was too late. Hugo and I had kissed again, and this time, it was in front of everyone. The president next to us quickly made a few bowing gestures. My bad, my bad. My hand slipped. The paper just fell. I'm bowing, I'm on my knees. Anyway, you're both guys, so don't worry about it. Okay? I felt both humiliated and furious, but I couldn't lash out. If I had accidentally kissed any other guy, I would have just chalked it up to bad luck and gotten over it quickly. But this was Hugo. He was different. He was different from everyone else. We're supposed to be rivals. How could this? In the midst of the roaring crowd, the other person involved didn't seem to have much of a reaction, though the tips of his ears turned red. Hugo's lips moved, and he seemed about to step toward me. George, But right then, my mind was a total mess. I just felt awkward and didn't know how to face him. Luckily, my phone suddenly rang. I looked down and saw it was a call from Joey. It was my salvation. I quickly stood up and forced a laugh. I have to take this call. With that, I fled from the embarrassing situation. I went to the restroom and answered Joey's call. I saw myself in the mirror, a faint blush still on my face. The intimate scene from before flashed through my mind again, and my heart began to race. I spaced out, causing Joey on the other end to get progressively more irritated. George, are you still there? Are you listening? Shit, are you dead? His curse finally snapped me back to reality. I'm here. What's up? On the other end, Joey sounded like he was grinding his teeth, his anger practically bursting through the screen. Dude, I'm over here stressing out about asking my crush out, and you're off having a sweet little date with your nemesis, playing your love-hate games. What, are you having so much fun you forgot about your friends? Joey is gay and has a crush on a younger guy in his club. The guy has curly hair and doesn't seem totally straight, so Joey's been debating whether to confess or not. All I heard were the words nemesis, love, and date. The scene from just now was still vivid in my mind, and my heart started to panic for no reason. What are you talking about? There's no love between me and Hugo. And what date? That was a club party. His casual reply made my reaction seem over the top. I quickly changed the subject. So, what's your plan? Are you going to confess? Sure enough, Joey's attention was diverted. He followed my lead, and I breathed a sigh of relief. Ugh, I don't know how. I don't know what to say. You don't know how to do that? Let your big bro teach you. Joey readily agreed, but then he sounded a little puzzled. But George, you've never dated anyone. Have you? How can you teach me? Hey, who says you need experience to be a love guru? You don't have to have eaten pork to know what a pig looks like. My competitive spirit was fired up. I told him to shut up and started to brag. A confession? That's easy. Listen up. You just say this to your crush. Hey, I noticed you a long time ago. I don't know if you're into guys, but I want to be brave for myself for once. I like you, not in a friendly, brotherly way, but in a way that I want to hold your hand, kiss you, be your boyfriend, and grow old with you. So, could you please consider it? Consider my confession. The atmosphere was at its peak, and I was about to get even more sentimental. But then I glanced at my phone and saw the call had already ended. Damn it. Was I just hyping myself up all alone? I didn't know if I'd hung up by mistake or if Joey had, but I just felt a wave of awkwardness. Just as I was about to call back, a shadow fell over me from behind, and the next thing I knew, the world was spinning. When I came to my senses, Hugo had me pinned against the wall, trapped. We were so close that his warm breath fanned across my face, creating a tingly, strange sensation that made my face burn. I looked up and met Hugo's deep eyes. My heart couldn't help but flutter, and a mix of shame and anger began to well up inside me. Shit, what the hell do you think you're doing? Let me go. The guy, a few inches taller than me, finally spoke, his voice low. Didn't you say you wanted to have my kids? And now you're turning around and confessing to someone else? Have kids? What kids? Those two words landed like a bomb in my chest. And what does he mean I wanted to have his kids? I tried to put some distance between us, but it was no use. I couldn't help but swallow hard. What are you talking about? When did I ever say I wanted to have kids with you? After I said that, Hugo's eyes seemed to darken, and the corners of his mouth turned down. He looked unhappy. Then he pulled a piece of paper out of his pocket and stuffed it into my hand. The love letter you gave me. It's written right here in black and white. You said you liked me and that you wanted to have kids with me. What, are you trying to deny it now? You're going to have them. If you can't, you're not leaving here today. How the hell am I, a guy, supposed to give birth? And besides, I didn't even write this letter. I was just the messenger. Could Hugo think that I wrote the love letter? That it was from me to him? That I liked him? Just as I figured out the situation, Hugo started to move closer. I instinctively cried out and started to explain. The letter. I didn't write the letter, you've got it all wrong. The class president wrote it. Didn't you see the signature? I looked down, trying to find the signature at the end of the letter to show him, but after a quick scan, I froze. Because there was no damn signature. Gina didn't sign it. No wonder Hugo thought it was me, that I wrote the love letter. After I spoke, the guy pinning me down suddenly froze, a blank expression on his face for the first time. You're saying, you didn't write this? This was all a misunderstanding? The atmosphere was strange, and so was the look on Hugo's face, but I still forced myself to nod. Yeah, you misunderstood. After I said that, Hugo was silent for a long time. Finally, he lowered his head, hiding the emotion in his eyes, which made me inexplicably nervous, because I thought I saw a sense of loss on him that I'd never seen before. Why didn't you make it clear at the time? After a long moment, Hugo looked up again. His dark eyes reflected my image, and the burning intensity within them made me tremble. Panic set in. Knowing I was in the wrong, I had to admit my mistake. I'm sorry, I was just emotional at the time. I forgot. I was so angry when I found out the girl I had a crush on liked my nemesis. So do you know that I couldn't sleep at all the night you gave me that letter? I'm sorry. Guilt gnawed at me, and I couldn't bring myself to look Hugo in the face. I tried to look down and avoid his gaze, but he suddenly grabbed my chin, leaving me with nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. I had to face him. And do you know that I spent all night convincing myself to accept it, and then to fall for you. I fell for you, George. I fell for you. And now you're telling me this was all a misunderstanding? What was Hugo saying? He said he liked me? My head was buzzing. I struggled to process his words, and it took a long time for me to respond, my voice weak and uncertain. Are you joking? How could you possibly like me? Aren't we rivals? How is this possible? And I used to be so competitive with him, always trying to provoke him. How could he possibly like me? But I never got the denial I was waiting for. Hugo's voice was in my ear, tinged with a strange sadness and bitterness as he murmured, "You're different from everyone else. In my lonely adolescence, when I had no friends, you were the only one who was always around me, even if you claimed we were rivals and that you wanted to beat me. How could I not be moved? It was that night, after reading your letter, that I started to realize my feelings for you. So George, I'm not joking. I really did realize it. I realized I'd fallen for you. I even came out to my parents. I told them I liked boys and that I wanted to bring him home for dinner. And what's the result? You tell me it was a misunderstanding, that this was all just me psyching myself up? George, you're so cruel." Listening to the words pouring out of Hugo's mouth, my mind was a mess, and my heart began to pound uncontrollably with panic. A hot tear suddenly fell on the back of my hand, so scalding that my fingers couldn't help but curl up. I looked up and met the guy's reddened eyes. The expression on his face was clearly one of hurt. I was suddenly overcome with a sense of helplessness and fear. I didn't know how to comfort him, how to console the person in front of me, the person I had considered my rival since we were kids. But after looking at me deeply for a moment, he turned and left, leaving me with nothing but his straight back. My heart and mind were in chaos. In the end, I left without even saying goodbye to the club president, returning to my dorm in a daze. Back in the dorm, Hugo's words played over and over in my head like a haunting ghost I couldn't escape. All I could do was lie there with my eyes open, waiting for sleep to come. But even in my dreams, I dreamt of Hugo, of the scene where he confessed to me, of him saying he liked me. Guilt was the strongest emotion, a form of mental torture. I could only bury myself under the covers, staring blankly at the chat history that was mostly just me sending him taunts. This is so frustrating. I ended up not sleeping a wink all night. The next morning, it was the weekend. Maybe it was because of the drama from last night, or maybe it was because I was afraid of the awkwardness of running into Hugo, but I started to think about avoiding the problem. I planned to rot in my dorm all day, hiding out for as long as I could. But of course, life had other plans. My mother suddenly hit me with 3 back-to-back emergency calls. The moment I answered, she issued a royal decree, claiming she hadn't seen me home in a month and missed me dearly. She could tell herself that lie, but she couldn't fool me. If I really went back, the maternal love would last 3 hours. Tops. When I first get back, what do you want to eat? Mom will make it for you. A little while later, everything you do is annoying. Can you just go back to school? Her mood changes in a flash. But just as I was about to refuse, my mom used her ultimate move. I'm counting to 3. Fine. The fear etched into my DNA forced me to surrender. I had no choice but to drag myself out of the dorm and get a cab home. The moment I walked in the door, I saw my mom lying on the sofa, lazily reading a book. Wow, a month apart and she's gotten all literary? What book is she reading? I took a closer look, and my jaw almost hit the floor. On the cover were a few large words. Things to know for a loving same-sex relationship. Mom, why are you reading this? The scene of Hugo's confession yesterday flashed in my mind, and my heart rate clearly picked up. Could she know? Does she know Hugo likes me? A wave of panic washed over me. My mom looked at me, then propped her head up with her hand and said lightly, "Your auntie said Hugo likes guys, so she's been researching things related to homosexuality recently. I thought I'd take a look too. Auntie, he doesn't have a problem with it? She's not against it?" She frowned, looking at me with a speechless expression. You little traditionalist, what is there to be against? The Qing dynasty is over. We're a lot more open-minded than you think. I was speechless. I paused for a moment, then blurted out, well, that's their business. Why are you reading it too? At that, my mom's frown deepened. She glanced at me, her expression indescribable. I'm studying up in advance, just in case you suddenly bring a guy home one day and I have no clue what to do. Wait, Mom, are you really that progressive? No, that's not right. Why the hell would I bring another guy home? I like girls. I'm straight. Damn it. As if to prove a point, I quickly said, you don't need to prepare for that. Your son is straight. Arrow straight. I like girls, so you don't need to trouble yourself learning all this useless stuff. My mom looked doubtful, as if she didn't believe me. Is there even a need to doubt that? I was about to argue with her, but in the next second, she gave a gentle smile, one that clearly wasn't for me. A bad feeling rose up in me, and it was confirmed by the voice that sounded from behind me. Auntie, my parents would like to invite you all over for dinner tonight. I came to let you know. My body froze. Logically, to avoid awkwardness, I shouldn't look at Hugo behind me, but my body moved faster than my brain. Before I could react, I was making eye contact with him. We were both silent. Yesterday's confession flashed before my eyes, and a wave of awkwardness and discomfort washed over me. Hugo, however, was calm. He gave me a brief, indifferent glance before looking away. He was back to his usual cool and distant self, as if the person who had confessed with tears in his eyes last night wasn't him. I had no choice but to lower my head like a scared quail. Only after my mom agreed and Hugo had left did I dare to lift my head. Mom, I'm not going to Hugo's for dinner tonight. Why not? Don't you love showing off in front of him? Who loves showing off in front of him? That was me provoking him. But I wasn't in the mood to argue right now. I mumbled, I just pulled an all-nighter yesterday. I'm really tired and I want to sleep like the dead. Maybe the huge dark circles under my eyes convinced her, because my mom didn't ask any more questions. All right then, your dad and I will go. I grunted in agreement, finally breathing a sigh of relief, and went back to my room to catch up on sleep. The night was dark outside my window. I was in a hazy dream when I was suddenly awakened by the doorbell. I had to half open my eyes and go open the door, feeling half dead. Did Mom and Dad forget their keys? I wondered to myself. Who would have thought that the moment I opened the door, I would fall into a warm embrace? The guy had a faint smell of alcohol on him, which instantly tickled my nose and made my heart skip a beat. I looked up into Hugo's deep, dark eyes. What do you want? I turned my head away uncomfortably. The distance between us was extremely intimate, our breaths could easily mingle. Hugo closed the door, and with my back to the cool wall, he had me completely trapped. I thought about it last night, and I still feel like I can't let it go. George, can you give me a chance? Huh? What chance? My head felt dizzy and completely unclear. Hugo looked down at me seriously, his Adam's apple bobbing. A chance to pursue you. I thought about it and I realized I still like you. I don't think I can go back to being straight. So, can you give me a chance? Huh? Pursue me? My pupils constricted. I stared blankly at the person in front of me, as if I couldn't understand the words he had just said. A moment later, I finally reacted, my words stumbling out. And no, that's not possible. I don't like guys. Why not guys? Hugo pulled us even closer, pressing me for an answer. Because of the guilt, I couldn't just punch him like I usually would. I could only hang my head. I've always liked girls. I've never even had the thought of liking guys. Dude, I didn't say the last sentence out loud, just screamed it in my head. Hugo grabbed my wrist and continued to press me. Then what type of girl do you like? Someone like Gina? I paused for a second, then nodded. While it wasn't exactly love, she was the only girl I'd ever had a crush on, and she was my dream girl, so I didn't deny it. Why do you like her? His warm breath tickled my earlobe, and I felt a brief, warm touch brush against it. Realizing what it was, the blood in my veins seemed to stop flowing. My heart started to pound uncontrollably. Is he hitting on me? My cheeks and earlobes were burning. I stiffened my neck and pretended to be tough. She's beautiful, with fair skin and long legs, and when I had heat stroke during orientation, she was the one who took me to the nurse's office. Is there a problem with me liking her? Did you hear that? I like Gina. I like girls. Just give up. Stop bothering me. I will not be turned. My internal drama was reaching its climax when I heard Hugo speak calmly. You started liking Gina because she took you to the nurse's office when you passed out from heat stroke? Yes. A beautiful soul is more attractive than a beautiful face. Gina's soul is so beautiful. What's wrong with me liking her? Is there a problem? No problem at all. What if I told you the person who took you to the nurse's office was me? Hugo lowered his gaze to look at me, his eyes full of sincerity. His thick eyelashes cast a faint shadow on his eyelids. My heart felt like it was suddenly struck by something. I became flustered and helpless. If it was me, would you like me the way you like Gina? What? It was you? How is that possible? I mumbled. I clearly remember only seeing Gina in the nurse's office when I woke up. How could that be? Hugo suddenly shoved my phone into my hand. You can ask Gina. Ask her if it was me who took you to the nurse's office. I had no choice but to brace myself and start typing. Hey Gina, I wanted to ask you something. Back during freshman orientation when I passed out from heat stroke, were you the one who took me to the nurse's office? Gina replied almost instantly. Huh? No, it was Hugo who carried you there. There was no way I could lift you. Staring at the words on the screen, I felt a little dazed. Hugo's cool voice sounded in my ear again. Well, He looked at me, his eyes filled with my reflection, as if I were the only thing he could see. I swallowed hard, not knowing how to answer. Hugo and I are neighbors. His family lives right across the hall from mine. Because we're the same age, my parents love to compare me to him, and I can never measure up. So, being the petty person I am, I held a grudge against him too. I was always looking for a reason to provoke him, and over time, he became my nemesis. I always thought we weren't even friends, yet he was the one who took me to the nurse's office when I passed out. My heart trembled, but I still avoided his intense gaze. After all, I've never thought about doing that with a guy. Think of something else. I can repay you, but not this. Why? Why not this? Hugo gripped my chin, his face just a few inches from mine. You just said your type is fair skin, a beautiful face, and long legs. Am I not fair-skinned? Am I not good-looking? Are my legs not long? The series of questions left me speechless. He was fair, he was very good-looking, and his legs were very long. He did fit the description. But the problem is you're a guy. And guys, what can't guys do again? Oh right, guys are hard to handle. They say people who have just woken up are generally brainless. I never used to believe it, but today I finally saw it for myself. I thought it in my head, and then I said it out loud. The moment the words left my mouth, the air froze. I felt my face turn beet red. Damn it, I'm crazy. What is wrong with me? How could I say something so wild? Another huge embarrassment for me. Just as I felt my toes were about to cringe a 3-bedroom apartment into the floor, Hugo laughed, a laugh filled with obvious pleasure. Who says they're hard to handle? With that, he tilted his head and leaned in. A warm sensation instantly landed on my lips. Thunderclaps went off in my brain. My body froze, unable to move, able only to feel Hugo's actions. His kiss was conquering, possessive, as if he wanted to merge me into his very flesh and blood, fierce and intense. When I came to my senses, I started to struggle, but it was useless. Hugo had me pinned down and I couldn't break free. His hand moved downwards, and a moment later, my belt buckle clicked open. A cool breeze rushed in, making my legs tremble. At this point, I was completely dizzy from Hugo's kiss, my brain not processing anything. We were both 19, 20-year-old guys, full of fiery passion, and a spark just ignited. Realizing my loss of composure, I felt my whole body burn. I wanted to curse Hugo for being a bastard, but then he suddenly knelt down. All the strength left my body, and a tingling sensation spread up from my spine. By the time my head was clear, Hugo was wiping his face with a tissue, and he had already cleaned me up. His voice, still husky, asked with a smile, "So, George, is it a yes?" I could feel that my cheeks and ears were incredibly hot. They must have been bright red. But after what just happened, I didn't know what to say. I could only lower my head and play dead. From that day on, my relationship with Hugo changed. He was no longer just my nemesis, there was an added layer of intimacy. He would deliberately sit next to me, hold my hand under the desk, and playfully fiddle with my fingers. He would suddenly steal a kiss on my cheek when no one was looking, then look at me with those burning eyes. I don't know how to describe it. I just know that after that night, my feelings for him changed. I didn't seem to resist his closeness at all. In fact, I kind of enjoyed it. Realizing this, my ears burned hot again. Our subtle relationship didn't go completely unnoticed. During a break between classes one day, Gina stopped me as I was leaving the classroom. Her eyes were searching. "George, are you and Hugo together? I saw you two kissing." My heart pounded, and my face turned bright red. Thinking back to how it all started, it seemed to be from when Gina asked me to deliver that letter. Couldn't help but feel guilty. "I'm sorry, Gina. I think I've done a lot of things I shouldn't have with Hugo. I think I have some unusual feelings for him. I think I screwed up the thing you asked me to do, and I might have hurt your feelings. Why don't you just hit me?" "Hurt my feelings? About what?" Gina looked confused. Then, as if remembering something, she blurted out, "Are you talking about the love letter?" "Yes, that." "I'm sorry, Before I could finish, Gina cut me off. Oh, that. I lost a game of truth or dare. Huh? Truth or dare? Seeing my confusion, Gina patted her shoulder as if to reassure me. I'm actually gay. A lesbian with long hair. That was seriously just a dare. I see. The weight on my heart finally lifted. When I got back to my seat, Hugo immediately grabbed my hand and started playing with it. What were you and the class president talking about? Nothing much, just that. She's really rooting for us. Hugo glanced at me a little unsure. What does that mean? I leaned closer, grabbing his mischievous hand and lacing my fingers through his. Remembering what Gina had just said, a surge of courage rose in my heart. I leaned close to Hugo's ear, unable to hold back a smile. It means we don't have to sneak around anymore. You're official now. To be honest, I had been struggling this whole time, trying to figure out what my feelings for Hugo really were, why I kept letting him get close to me. It wasn't until I talked to Gina just now that she made me realize. You wouldn't tolerate someone getting close to you if you didn't like them, nor would you let them do intimate things with you. So I do like Hugo, even though I don't know when it started. Maybe it was after that intimate moment, or maybe it was that first accidental kiss. I can't say for sure, but this is what liking someone is. I've fallen for Hugo, the person I considered my rival for so many years. The official bell for class rang, and the noise in the classroom gradually subsided. Hugo and I looked at each other, our eyes smiling. We spoke almost at the same time. Boyfriend, it's a pleasure. Before, we were rivals. Now and in the future, we're boyfriends.